Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Jeff is back to the show. We're going to be doing Advanced Part 2, where we go inside of Jeffrey's lab. This week is a big session on Rekognition and Rufus and a series of other things that Jeff will get into shortly. Again, we'll go through this lab setup where shared screen. This is where Jeff really excels. He works with a lot of big sellers and software companies. He has this a very good ability to break down everything and then track it and then build it up so it becomes repeatable, a bit like science. So today you're going to learn a lot of stuff on the advanced level. I'm going to hand you over to Jeff. Jeff, again, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Danny, for having me.
You're more than welcome.
Dive right into this and show the mural board.
There we go. Shall I? I'll put it up. Yeah, I'll put it up for the guys listening on the podcast. I'll put the YouTube link in the show notes. Go to the show notes and watch this. You're going to get more benefit out of this. We're going to pick up from the point from last time. So if you haven't seen episode 1, also check that out, because when you see the planner, we're building off, or Jeff is building off this planner and expanding on it. And then at the end, they'll give away. From my understanding, he's going to give this away to all the listeners, and that will help them restructure what they're doing leading into Q4.
All righty. So it looks a little bit different, Danny, because we've been working on it. We went through level 1, and now we're going to start to dive into, now you're starting to see on the recognition part what level 2 looks like. You know, there's.
Can we do a quick refresh, meaning, Jeff? Just quickly run over the couple of things that were done on the last show that's leading into this. For those, just like a short roundup from the last one.
Yeah. So level 1 is all about just getting the idea and like exploring what tools and what options you have. So, you know, okay, we use data dive for keyword research. Now, we know when we're building a listing, we want to look at what the pre-purchase concerns are, what the post-purchase concerns are, which we get from the questions and answers and from the reviews. We also know that there's some polling sites out there. There's IntelliView, there's ProductOpinion, there's PickFu, you know, which polling site we think will be best for this stage. And, you know, what is available to us. And we start to lay that out in level 1. We do some minor exploration to make sure that we understand that what we're choosing is going to work the best. And now we're going to, when we move into level 2, we're actually going to start like testing the theories. Like, okay, like in our level 1, we thought text recognition holds a higher value. Well, as we test this more, is that still true in Amazon recognition? And so this is basically, okay, we've pretty much got some SOPs written. We've got our theories. There still might be some fine tuning to call this a completed process, but we know the path that we're going to take. Now, and we're going to start right down here. Like I said, you develop your keyword list, whatever you want to use. If it's data dive, which we personally use, if it's FBA Excel, if it's Helium 10, Sellerize, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you're comfortable with. Now, for pre-purchase, it used to be the questions and answers. Like people would ask a question on your listing, people would answer it, or you would answer it. So you would know what people's concerns were for buying your product. That has since been replaced with Rufus. And we've kind of looked through Rufus, and I'll show you. I don't have this pulled up for some reason. If I go to Rooibos Chai Tea, and we open up Rufus on this Yogi listing, what we found is that these questions actually repeat themselves throughout the top sellers. So these questions will be very similar. So what we did is we came up with an SOP that is right here. The Rufus research questions, where this is a step-by-step competitor review and question analysis, where we type in the main keyword. We would then identify and open the top 10 highly relevant competitors. That's really important that you get highly relevant, because we want highly relevant questions and answers. Then we would build a Google Doc of the first set of questions and the second set of questions. And you probably can't see this, but I'll read it out. So in the first set of questions on the top 10 competitors, there's only 15 different questions.
Yeah.
And on the second set of questions, there was only 6 set of questions. So what I'm talking about here is you can see that there's 5 questions on this listing. And if I click T is caffeinated, there's a second set of questions that pop up.
Yeah.
So we're writing down the first set and the second set from the Rufus. So that's what we're doing there. And then we're going to eliminate any duplicate or similar questions. And then we're going to analyze each question to determine whether it can be effectively addressed through images or written copy. So we're going to want to know if we can answer this. So here is the questions for rooibos chai tea. I've already done the research for everybody. Is this tea caffeinated? Does this tea have any allergens? Natural flavors. This one was interesting. Can this tea be enjoyed hot or cold? Like, that's one that I think we can do in images. We can do, hot iced tea or hot tea or cold tea.
Yeah, visualizing the customer objection. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll focus on this number 4 for later in the call. But that's all this step is. It's just to go through the list. And it's a very manual process. There's nothing that scrapes it because you can't get into the second layer. But I think it's important to realize, okay, what are the questions asked on the top people? Yeah. So you can then answer them.
Can you boost it 200% so it's wider on the screen so you can still read it full screen? There we go. Yeah, perfect.
So
we've got 15 questions here. And then if we go to the second set.
There's only 6.
There's only 6. And why do we have first set and second set? So the audience.
Well, that's just where it showed up. Did it show up in the in this first set here, or did it show up in this set here?
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume it's kind of like, how like everybody says about images, the first 2, 3 are the most important, 4 or 5 really aren't.
Yeah.
You could probably chase this for a while, but I think the first set probably has a higher relevance to what you want to focus on. The second set, you might want to take a look at it to make sure that you can cover something.
Excellent.
So going on from that, so we've got that SOP written, and I'm happy with this. So this is all set. So I think we have a really good way to answer what is our pre-purchase questions and answers on this.
Yeah.
Now, our second part is the reviews. Like, what are the post-purchase objections? Now, with rooibos chai tea, it's not a huge niche. It's not, like collagen peptides that is going to have a million different opinions on it. It's very niche. And so when I went to the Opportunity Explorer, and I'll show you how I did this, is if we just come in here and you just type in rooibos chai tea, and we actually search this, you're actually not going to even find a niche for it. So we actually have to go just to the single flavor of rooibos tea.
Yeah.
And then we'll click into top search terms up here on rooibos tea. And if we come to these customer review insights, which are still important, but 53% taste overall, great taste. Well, I mean, it's a tea product. I hope it tastes great.
Yeah.
Quality, flavor. These weren't like the most insightful for what we're trying to do. Like it's very, very basic. It's not something. Now there is other categories where this can be very insightful, but just not really for this product. So what do you do?
Can I say thank you? Just going back to the point what we're saying, there's pre and post purchase. It's so important to have a definition of these two, and they're completely different. Right. So let me give you an example. With a review, someone's already gone past the customer objections. You've met them in some way for them to buy it. When they leave the review, it's their experience with the product after the customer objections have been met, which could be this product's good, or this product's terrible, or the handle on this is broken. They are not the same thing. They're two different things. And one of the biggest mistakes that sellers make is they take the reviews of someone else's post-objection products, then they mine those reviews to get the insights of customer objections before buying the product when they build their own product, unless they run a test on PickFu, IntelliV, or ProductOpinion, to ask the questions, what is your objections to buying this product? So I think that's why the definition has to be very, very clear. These are two ends of the spectrum. Both are very important, but they are not meeting your customer objections by going after someone else's product to do your research on post-purchased products.
Correct. And so on the post-purchase, we didn't find a lot in the Opportunity Explorer. Like, this really wasn't groundbreaking for us.
Yeah.
So how do we get past this?
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to actually look at all the reviews at once. And typically sellers have a way to download them all.
Yeah.
You know, you come into your listing, you hit the Helium 10 extension, download all the reviews. But instead of reading through them and trying to, decipher it, we now can use ChatGPT and build out a prompt. So we can actually start to build out prompts, which I've actually given this prompt to Anthony Lee to refine.
Yeah.
And this prompt, let's see here. I'll open this up. Can you see this, Danny? Yes,
I can.
So it's actually 6 different prompts. So you're going to start your market research analyst for an e-commerce company that sells on Amazon. Your task is to analyze customer reviews for competitors. This is actually for a different product. But you're going to have a sentiment analysis, identifying the most positive trait, identifying the most negative trait, the output format. You're basically going to say, okay, what is the sentiment analysis? Give a detailed overall sentiment, the most positive and the most negative trait. Once that comes out, you're then going to do prompt 2, where now we're going to start to look at, perform a detailed analysis and look for repeated keywords that can be used to describe the product in SEO. Now, important is in this prompting that Anthony Lee taught me is to give it constraints, because we want to exclude the following single words: the I's, the A's, the twos, the this. So you want to this list will grow. You also want to exclude a list of common phrases. That way you don't see the word, I 75 times and you don't really get down to the actual keywords that matter to your product. So it's important to, when you're prompting, is how to use constraints. And so that'll give you a list of the most popular keywords. Prompt number 3 is now we're going to start to look at the demographic. Now you can always use Amazon for this, or if you're using DSP, you can get your demographic, but it's nice to give the GPT something to look back on for later on. So now we're going to start to look at the goals and values, look at the demographic, the challenges and pain points. And this is basically going to build out your customer avatar.
Yeah.
Prompt number 4 is you're still the market research analysis, but what we're going to do is we're going to list out the purchase motivations. So why are people buying this based on the reviews, and provide as much detail. And you also can ask it, while you're asking it just for your own knowledge, what product improvements can you make? If you're already going this far, you might as well get that data from it as well, just so you know. And then number 5, we're going to become the Amazon brand manager, where we're tasked with updating the listing images for a product. You haven't analyzed written reviews on the product in detail page, which we've already been analyzing. And so now we want to carefully review the customer avatar, the purchase motivations, the suggestions for improvements, identify the key benefits that resonate with the target audience, note any common objections or concerns that potential customers might have, consider how the suggestions for improvement can be visually represented, create a brief for the graphic designer that includes the target audience, the best way to drive conversions through images, key benefits to highlight the images, objections or concerns to address visually. Specific elements to include as lifestyles, infographics, and text overlays. Do not include comparison charts or customer testimonials. Sometimes when you do this, you'll see that you'll get, have a customer testimonial on there. You really can't do that. And any additional ideas.
Yeah, you could add to that. Unless I've missed it, you could add to that prompt as well. Don't make any recommendations based on reshooting, because the ideas that will come back if you're running a prompt is they might say, go take this angle, if you haven't got the opportunity to do that. So maybe somehow in there is to scope it that you've only got these set assets with it and there is no opportunity or budget to reshoot, and then it will come up with better ideas. Yeah.
So we use these 5 prompts, and we basically were kind of creating a brief on the post-purchase objections. And this came out really, really nice. And then I got to thinking, okay, where else could we take this? Like, how else could we use this information? One is, what product improvements could we make? Because I could give you a list of differentiators from your competition if it's possible. 2 is, what if we said we're an advertising director and we want to create sponsored brand ads for the headline? Now, give us some ideas, give us the key phrase, the product benefits. So we want to see the ad headline and the image concept. So just because we're doing something for the listing optimization, don't forget this does, it's like a tree, there's branches that come off. You can use it for product ideation. You can also use it for your advertising efforts. And I'm pretty sure, Danny, you have an agency. You would love it if somebody said, oh, I have this information for you. So, we kind of tried to stretch this prompt out, or this process out, into multiple different areas of the business. So remember, we want to create a repeatable result. We don't want to be wasting time. We want to be efficient with our time. So this is how we're going to do it, is you just have to sometimes think, where else can I use this?
Yeah.
So this was the prompt. Right now, it's still kind of in its raw form. I actually gave it to a good friend of ours, Anthony Lee. He's actually working on refining it. This prompt will be available to everybody that's listening.
You'll be seeing a lot more of Anthony Lee. I can't go into more details, but let's just say you're going to be seeing him a lot more on a regular basis, and that news will come soon.
So once we go from the post-purchase, now one thing to note about these two, about the reviews and the questions, this is all data analytics. We still don't have any in-person testing. We still haven't done any polling. We've just taken the data that we have and we've analyzed it, and we're starting to create this this brief.
Yeah.
Once we do that, I like to, out of the 3 polling sites, well, there's more than 3, but out of the polling sites, I like to use ProductOpinion. And the reason I like to use ProductOpinion is because they have video reviews. So you can come into ProductOpinion, which is still not loading right now. We'll see if we can't get that to load later. And you can actually ask people to search a keyword like rooibos chai tea, and to basically give their opinion as they're shopping. Now, some of them are going to be really good. Some of them aren't going to be good. So make sure you do at least 10 of them. I think when I did the one that you're about to watch, it cost me $10. So for $100, you can get 10
gold.
videos.
You get gold. Yeah. Even if you've got a few shit videos, and some people are clueless, are just taking the money, but most have been filtered out across all these platforms. And we call it the in-search experience. It's not just like a static image. They're actually in the search doing it in real time. So they're talking through the whole shopping thing. So we'll play it in the moment, and then I'm sure Jeff are going to explain how to break this down, because I think the struggle that people have with customer objections, how to stack rank this, how to take relevant information, then turn them into what they're saying into something that is useful, and then have the ability to create something that is a visual representation of the customer objections in their image stack as well. Do you want me to bring this video up, or we still got this bit to go?
No, let's bring the video up.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's see, warm ice, but it must be most organic.
Let's stop it right there.
Caffeine free.
Okay.
Now, if you go back up to that, if you back that up just a little bit so we can see all 3.
Okay, let me just bring. There you go.
Okay, so we have the Yogi, the Numi, and the FGO.
Yeah.
And if you notice, she said organic really quickly. Now, Numi has organic right above the herbal teas, right? You can barely see it in that second image, the one with the bestseller. But because FGO has actually made organic look like a label with that green, just pops off of that purple, she instantly pointed that out.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, organic was one of either our questions or it was in the Product Opportunity Explorer.
Right.
So, basically just having that green label made that.
Let's see, warm mace blade. It must be some.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was just saying, just having that green label is what made that pop out.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'll
keep going.
I'll carry on playing, and then you tell me when to stop when we're picking up on these key parts.
Well, it's organic. Caffeine free. I really like that one. There it is again too.
Anything else here to say? Because obviously with the standout here, Jet, like the key point was to get over the organic. So this is only one customer, but it's good to see this is being validated, right, in terms of what we're going to look for down the road.
I like it.
And caffeine
So I
free
definitely
was
would
the first
click on
question.
Yeah, and caffeine free. Yeah.
it first. And I like this container. Here's that one, that organic tea again.
So she's.
I
drawn
really
to
like
that
how
organic.
Sorry, go on.
She's really drawn to that organic, isn't it? She's mentioned it twice now.
Republic red chai. I like how they come in the canisters like this. And that canister and that really pretty design. What else? I wish I knew how to pronounce this word. Allegro tea. 1 pound. Holy smokes. That's a pretty design too. My red tea. This one's organic. Okay. These are really interesting. I could look at these for a while. This is pretty. I love this color. The naturally sweet organic something tea. Sugar-free. Okay. Sustainability produced. Plastic-free, bleach-free, no preservatives. I love tea. I click into your top 3 listings. For each, what did you like? What could be improved? Let's start at the top. Okay. Warming and spicy. First thing I love this color and the design. It's so pretty. Okay.
What we after though, guys, as we listen, we don't want to hear about how pretty, how nice it is. We want to get some data back because we know it's nice and we know it's pretty. We want some objective information here to help improve on whether it's this listing. It doesn't matter what listing is, but the end goal is to get the right information more so than, a massage of an ego that you've got a great product.
Read the back of this here. I like how it's included. For stronger tea, use 2 bags. Caffeine free. Herbal. Tea. Has everything you would expect to see. What does that say? RainforestAlliance.org. Okay. Spicy sweet. That sounds so appealing. That's a nice image. Okay. Mindfully made. They're big on recycling, and that's good. I like that.
I mean, you can hear the things that she's like.
The other one was.
She's picked up on a lot of key stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the organic, the caffeine free, like she's brought that up multiple times.
Yeah.
And I mean,
that's confirmation as well, which is good. But what we're also looking for is insights that we don't already have because, organic was intentional, right? Caffeine free is intentional. Design is intentional. It's trying to work out what are the bits, where is the missing threads? Where's the objections,
Where was I? I thought I like both of these. I like all 3 of these. But to go in order here, I picked that one. I love the canister. It's helpful. I like how they come in canisters. Pure, authentic. Dissolve what's it say? Dissolve 1/4 teaspoon in hot water. Add your choice of milk. Sweeten. The images are helpful. They're informative. Hey, they got all different kinds. As what could be improved so far, I am not sure yet. No gluten. Hey, that's really nice because I know people that can't have gluten.
Right, is that finished now,
That's
Jeff?
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So
Go on.
there's a couple different things here.
Yeah.
One is I asked way too broad set of questions. I
Mm.
asked her to look at the search results, tell me what she liked. I asked her to click into the 3 listings. You can actually ask 3 questions, and she didn't even get halfway through the second one. So when you're doing a product opinion video, make sure you are mindful that there is a time limit. There's only 5 minutes. So now we have to think how we can refine our questions and test more.
Yeah.
And say, okay, now let's just focus on the search results. And then how are we going to do questions 1, 2, and 3? And then let's go into some of the top listings. What are the questions we can ask there? We can't ask a lot of broad questions. We have to be very focused on our questions. So that was part of like being in the lab. That's something that we found out, that it's like, okay, to use this tool properly, to get the best set of data, we need to be more focused in our questions.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if I showed you the question set, you probably wouldn't be able to answer them in 5 minutes either, Danny. And
exactly. 1, you ask too many things. 2, you're asking for confirmation biases. So I haven't seen the questions, but her answers were, these are nice, this is fluffy, this is great, I'm going to be, pleasing and being kind over this product. That's not what you want. You want the customer objections. And Anthony Lee, I haven't used this one yet. Anthony Lee, I'll drop this. This is a bar. He said, Dan, try something. Instead of asking the customer, what is your objection to buying this product? Ask them, what do you think your friends and family would make of this product? The reason you say that is because then they don't feel any insecurity or unsafe about saying negative things about stuff, because it's other people and using other people's opinions. And that's another way of getting good information. So that video there is, we're going to go through refinement, because obviously we don't rehearse any of this. I'm picking up now that you've now realized you asked and framed things the wrong way, and going to go back in and then get the data that you really want, whether it's positive or negative. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'll bring your board back up.
Alrighty. So now we have our 3 points, right? We have pre-purchase, we have post-purchase, and then we have our polling. So the way I look at this is, now we have these 3 points here. We also have our keyword list. So that's actually 4. We can then put together a creative brief. Now, depending on if you have an in-house graphic designer or you have a graphic designer a third party, the third party is going to have their own creative brief, but you're going to have the info. I mean, there's probably a lot of newer sellers or people that don't get a lot of graphics. Like, they get these creative briefs, and it's like 3 pages worth of questions, and you have no idea what to put on half of them. But now you have the data to put on half of them, or at least you can give them the raw data and work through it with them. So the next would be the creative brief. And that's all going to be depending on how your organization is set up, whether you have in-house or you use a third party. We use a third party. I use a girl by the name of Casey Wang. Quick shout out to her. She does a great job. I've actually trained her on how to use Amazon Rekognition, and so I'm really happy with her. So I did want to put her in here on that, because she's worked really hard at this whole system as well.
Can I interject something here that might be useful with this about using creatives? So I do a lot of work with all my clients on this, customer objections, main images, and stuff like that. And there's a number of ways that we work together. The longest way it takes to work together is when I work with a client, we're working through the objections, etc., etc. I go back to my designer, based on our conversations. And there could be 100, I kid you not, 100, 150 conversations, back and forth, minor changes, change that, don't like this, da, da, da. So you got to find a system, like what Jeff said. Now, another batch of my clients will are halfway there with Canva, right? So we can work together to make those changes. And I'm like, when we're ready, we'll share the Canva link with Alex and he'll put the magic on top. And that cuts down a lot of the revision time. So even if you've got people that you use in-house, some people can be quite arty and enjoy the Canva. You can also work with someone to get the final layer done. But as we go into the briefing, which is really important, if you want to stop hundreds of revisions, you need to get the briefing right for the designer and know exactly what you want and how to communicate with designers. And that can take a little bit of time. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I have an engineering mind. So when I look at a creative brief, it is like complete foreign language on everything. So it's just my mind is not wired that way. But, you know, my mind is wired to do this with Rufus, the Opportunity Explorer, and ProductOpinion. But then if I didn't have these 3 or these 4 sections, I mean, I would never be able to put together a creative brief. That's just not how my mind works. You know, I'm actually going to work with Casey Wang, and we're actually going to build like a creative brief for Seller Sessions users, or not users, or listeners. So that way everybody kind of has a sample, like, okay, if you did these 4 things, this is how you would put it together. So, you know, that will be added to this board. So once it goes through the process of the creative or the graphic designer, we're going to get the images back, right? So now we have our images back, and we want to, whether your graphic designer knows how to use Rekognition or we have to do that in-house, I'm going to show you how we can do that. We're going to go over some of the features inside of Rekognition. So you first have to start up with an AWS account, and this is what Rekognition looks like. And there's going to be a couple different sections here. Underneath demos, there's going to be label detection and text in image. Those are the 2 sections that we're going to be focused on. So what we want to do is I'm going to drag and drop this main image right in here. And you're going to see very similar to like what Comprehend would give us. Now it has the results over here. Herbal, herbs, plant, food, spice, advertisement. And then it's going to have a confidence score over here. And you can obviously click this down. You know, it could be an advertisement or a poster. What's really interesting is it picked up on anise and honey. Now, since this is true honey tea, we actually have honey granulars in our tea bags that can be flavored. It must be picking up this honey pattern up here, because remember, this is object recognition, nothing to do with text. So it's picking up the honey pattern up here, which I think that is really interesting. Now, when we come down to the text and image, kind of, I wish it would save it, but then you just drag it back over. And now it's going to start reading all the text. And you can see Rooibos chai, it's picking that up here. On our shipped bag, it does not have that Rooibos chai tea. It does not have this. We put that there, you know, as a main image, you know, to help with the text recognition. Notice the scripted writing of true honey actually reads as Frou honey, which that's our logo. We really can't change that. And then the same thing as before, as you can see this writing very small down here, 24 tea bags, total net weight. You could probably hardly see this on the YouTube video, but it actually picked up everything perfectly. So this will actually recognize fine details in writing. As long as it can put, you know, one of these recognition boxes around it and try to interpolate what it says, it can be very, very small on your listing and still read it. And I would go through every single image. So like, here's the image for the hot and nice tea, the sip and savor. You know, remember the warmth when we looked at the Opportunity Explorer and we were looking at the positive down here, you know, there was this warmth.
Yeah.
So we were trying to draw in on that.
Warmth, great heat, great temperature. Yeah.
You know, and with this like savor, hot. So we could try to play on those words right there. And it came in perfectly on the text recognition. When we go to the object recognition on this one, you can see pottery, cookware, pot, cup, teapot. You know, all things that are relevant to a tea, but not the actual tea. The other thing is our tea bag is a little bit different because we have the honey granulars in it. It's not like your traditional tea bag. So it's not going to, I know it's not going to pick up the tea bag. I've tried it a million times and it just isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to get that tea word.
Should we explain the concept why you're doing this on every image as well? Because a lot of people do just main image to test that. And yeah.
We do it on every image and even the EBC images.
Yeah. And then give the reason why. That's what I'm saying. Should we give them the reason why that you go and do all the images? A lot of people just do main image because they want to see if they can add their keyword or their main keyword they want to use in terms of use as an attribute.
No, because it's going to tie into like Cosmo and the back end product attributes.
There you go. That's why I was asking you. Yeah.
And, you know, you're going to want to get those attributes lined up on your images and lined up in your copy. So that's going to just reinforce the system. I mean, you and Awana just did a great show on that. You know, it's just going to reinforce the cold start method that this is what our product is and this is what we need to rank for. So that's why we run everything through it. We also want to make sure that in searches that are more subjective and not objective, like, you know, great tasting rooibos tea, like there's really no like hard attribute except for rooibos tea. So you want to get that great taste. You want people to say, oh, people associate this with good taste. So that's why we want those in there. Or, you know, this is kind of a tough product to do it on because it's a very niche, but, you know, on bigger niche products, you can definitely start to get more subjective searches inside of your images. Yeah.
And just one thing just to throw in there, another reason to do this that ties back to the algorithm, if you look at the show, it was yesterday, part 2 will come next week. So where you've got pre-predictions, you got your priors, you got your posteriors, and then you've got my brain's going. Anyway, so let's just start with the priors. So with the priors is the pre-prediction, and they're looking at successful products and their attributes. So one thing you can do is once you're going through looking at all of your attributes on your images, as attributes are read on the pre-priors, this is a pre-launch. This is before the cold start, right? So if they're looking in terms of, we don't have information on this product, we're going to rely on attributes of third-party successful products within that range, looking at all their attributes. It's another reason to look at the competition's images and look at the wording that they've got in their images and if there's any commonalities that you do when you're building your own image stack. Now, it might only be lightweight, but it says directly in the patents, in the literature, and this is talking about on pre-launch. I don't know how impactful it would be on just updating the listing past the cold start period. But yeah, that is something, another reason why if you're running through all of your images, you may want to look at the top 3 images and see how they are, because it won't take you long just to cut and paste, drop them in like what Jeff's doing here and have a quick look and see if there's anything that you could use or benefit you in terms of attributes.
So after we do this and after you've run all your images through, you may have to go back and forth with your graphic designer, say, hey, can you fix this one or can you not fix this one? Or if your graphic designer is using Rekognition, they can actually, you know, print this out or take a screenshot of this for you and say, okay, these are the attributes that we're pulling. Are you happy with them? Are you not happy with them? And once that is done and we're happy, we have one last step. So we've done everything pretty much off of Amazon. You know, we've built, you know, AI prompts to analyze a review. We've done ProductOpinion. You know, we've used Amazon Rekognition. And if you remember, in our first level 1, we thought text recognition looks to hold a higher value than object recognition. Remember when we did that test in level 1? Yeah. And we came up with this post-it right here. So now let's put it in actual Amazon. So this is before you even create the listing. This is still early, but what we can do is we can go to list your products and enter a product title, description, or keywords. We can just put in rooibos tea, rooibos chai tea, and submit. And it's going to bring you to this screen. And none of these are it because we're creating a new listing. So now we're going to click create a new listing. Now here's the interesting part. This is a Amazon on Seller Central. They generate listing content. So what we can do is we have our keyword here. And now here's the item name, and it's going to give us a product type. The system will try to recommend based on your item name. So we can take our main image and we can dump it in here and generate content. And we can let this run. It's going to then read the image, and it's going to give us an item name. True Honey Tea, Rooibos Chai Tea Bags, 24 count, 11.85 ounces. Not bad. Product type tea. So it read it correctly. It read that image correctly. Really, really happy with that. Now, remember, when I first brought this up and we were looking at the questions, hot and cold, right? And this up here, text recognition looks to hold a higher value.
Yeah.
Let's test our theory. So we're going to grab our hot and cold image. We're going to replace this file. And we're going to generate content. It didn't bring it up hot and cold. Here it is. There was the first one. That was the second one. It just got rid of the grams because the grams aren't on the packaging or the ounces.
Yeah.
So recognition failed me. We did everything correct, but for some reason, Amazon did not see this as see the hot and cold. So now this image should be sent back to the graphic designer. Say, is there something we can do? Is there other ways to get hot and iced tea visually represented? Maybe it's not the text. Maybe we need to come up with a flame icon or a hot coffee or a hot tea mug, teacup, and a cold iced tea glass. Something else. I'm not a graphic designer, but I would actually ask them to try it again. Maybe you can
have things like ice. You can have things like thermometers. You can have something that shows like water is boiling or hot, so you can see the steam coming off. So again, it goes back to that visual representation of the objections of meeting what the customer needs are. So yeah, and there's a lot going on in that image. It's quite a light color image. She's got blonde hair. She's got a beige jumper on. You've got in the background, you've got the honey web kind of thing that's going on. Maybe for reading it, it needs something a bit more distinguished, simplified. So the thermometer, ice, etc., could be an idea to try.
But I mean, you can probably agree with me, Danny. How many images like this have you seen on Amazon and Amazon detail pages? A lot of them. Yeah. That are very similar laid out. It's not overly cluttered. It's following all the best practices. But if we want to try to fine tune this, it's not 100%. I think it's good graphically, but it's not 100%. So again, just like how the graphic designer to Amazon recognition is the same. Now we added another layer of the Amazon listing generator. And we've actually got an SLP for that right here that everybody will get, create a new product on how we do it. And so all the listeners of this show will get this SOP so they can follow along. Once it passes through here, once you get it as best as you're ever going to get it, you've done more than 99% of sellers on Amazon on building your images, building your EBC, and then the images will be done and we'll move on to the copy, which will be the next show. Yeah. But this is the process that we've come up with for building images on Amazon. Yeah.
So this is what we've covered so far. So we've done the pre-purchase questions discovered by Rufus. We've covered post-purchase objections using AI and reviews. We showed you the customer video walkthrough. Maybe next time we'll show the improvements that you made by asking better questions, and then we'll play a video with some better answers that we're actually looking for, because the framing of the question was much more superior to getting the data that you need. Creative brief for graphic designers. We've done some stuff here on Amazon Rekognition and, of course, the listing generator. Obviously, Jeff will make this available. Is there any final words you want to add, Jeff, before we come back in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I know you and I were talking about this.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. So I want to talk to everybody about building processes. Like, just like I am not a graphic designer, not really a good writer. I can misspell my own name sometimes. But breaking things down into like individual bite-sized bits and understanding them is like my strength. And I really follow this Gardner hype cycle. And not a lot of people talk about this or know about this, but everybody goes through it. And it all starts out with a technology trigger. And you're down here at the bottom of the XYZ graph. And then you're going to go up and you're going to get this peak of inflated expectations. Like, we're going to do this whole thing and it's going to be so great. We're going to bestseller badge. You know, life is good. Sell the company in a year. We retire, live on the beach. It's not quite like that. As you descend off of this peak of inflated expectations, you're going to come down into the trough of disillusionment, or as I like to call it, the valley of despair. And the way people get down here is, you know, I listen to Danny and Awana talk about, you know, Cosmo. I read articles. I watch other YouTube videos. All of a sudden, I have so much knowledge that I've learned and gained. Like, you either get paralyzed, like a data paralysis, or you start to break it down into bite-sized bits like we are on this show. Like, everybody's watching how this whole lab process works. You start to break it down. Step 1, what's my pre-purchase questions? Step 2, what's my post-purchase questions or my post-purchase reviews? Step 3, what's actual people saying when they do the search results? That's what's going to get you out of the valley of despair. That's the only thing that's going to get you out of it. Like, you just got to take the first step. And you know what? Whether you do the pre-purchase or the post-purchase first, that don't matter. That really does not matter. Just do it.
Yeah, as long as you get it done.
Yeah. And then you're going to travel up the slope of enlightenment. And that's where you start to gain. And you're watching us on this level to travel up the slope of enlightenment. Okay, you know, I got to refine my questions here. It was really good. I like the potential. I just need to refine my questions on the product opinion. We thought text recognition was a higher value. It's not. So, you know, maybe we need to rework that hypothesis. And what will eventually happen is you're going to hit this plateau of productivity. And this is the intersection of efficiency and effectiveness. So we're going to make the most effective process the most efficient way. That is the goal. That is the way you're going to scale your business. You know, when we get done with this and we have all the SOPs and everything, you're going to be able to hand it to an employee. You're going to have repeatable results. You're going to be able to, you know, share it with other people. They're going to get repeatable results. It's very, very repeatable. And that's why this Gardner hype cycle, and you've probably experienced it, Danny. I've heard great things. I've never been to Seller Sessions, the conference.
Yeah.
You know, how many people go to their conference and say, oh, I learned so much. They had that technology trigger. And they've moved up to the peak of inflated expectations. Yeah. But then they move down to the valley of despair, and that's where they sit. You know,
yeah, and it's like any conference, you got to try and implement what you can. You're not going to be able to implement it all, and it's not all going to be relevant. But we have to be careful. The shiny, what's it called syndrome? Shiny object. It's like you need to find what you want to double down on, and like what you said there, go into the process and just be disciplined and just focus on those things. It's when you've got 10 things, you've got to make sure that you learn at those 10, you're probably maximum, you're going to be able to effectively do 3. So even if you want to do 6, do the 3 and then integrate one at a time, the remaining 3, which is the total of the 6. But it is about focus, and your most important asset is your time and your attention. It's the most important asset you'll ever had. You'll never get back time. And where you put your attention is where your energy flows, right? So a lot of people talk about money is the most important thing. You need to put your time and attention to acquire money. And that depends on how much time, attention you put on that. So always remember your most valuable asset. So when you have to break stuff down like this and you're overwhelmed, say to yourself, my time and attention is valuable. What am I picking from this list? And what am I going to be disciplined to and double down on?
Yeah, when I work in the lab, I mean, I have one of these right here, a kitchen timer.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with a P. It's like the Perdomo method, where you work for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break. That's the method I use, you know, but those 25 minutes are intense. The phone's off, the Slack notifications are off, email's not open. It's 25 minutes of, okay, I want to figure out this prompt. Then a short break, and then I come back. That's what works for me. Some people it doesn't work for, but you have to find how you work, and you have to kind of understand that Gardner method or that Gardner hype cycle, and maybe where you're at, so you can kind of help get yourself back on track. Yeah,
I was going to say what you do there with the timer. Ellis does that with the timer. I do time blocks. Like I've got an iPad with, you know, with a stylus. Every day when I'm up at 4 or 5, whatever time it is, I write down my time blocks. So 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., etc., etc. I may not complete them all, and I don't necessarily put a finite time. And I need to learn what you do, you know, because of diminishing returns. If I'm working on something, sometimes because of having ADHD meds, it's literally your amphetamines. I can go into the groove for 6-7 hours on a patent or whatever, and it doesn't touch the sides. Then I come up and I'm like, fucking hell, like my rest of my day is blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
So I need to work out to do the time block where I set that time of doing 25 intentional work, 5-minute break, because that's where the diminishing returns come later on in the day, and you can save that by having those breaks in between. So where can you get that time? You know, 'cause it's very simple. It's just a device like you just bought it off Amazon, did you?
Yeah, just got it on Amazon. They're pretty cheap.
Excellent. All right, Jeff, that's wonderful. Thank you again for your time and your attention. We'll get you back in a couple of weeks. We'll book the date in to do this 3rd episode. I think we're doing 4, are we? We've got so far, we've got 2.
We're going to go through comprehend.
That's
on the
right.
3rd.
Yeah.
And then on the 4th one, we're just going to like put it all together. We're going to map it out properly, have it real nice, have the SOPs all written. You can go to my website, thebedrockagency.com. You can sign up for the SOPs. You'll get an email saying that they'll be done when they're ready. And then when we're all done after the 4th show, they'll be emailed out to everybody, including that AI prompt from Anthony. Excellent. And then we'll have that refined as well. He's just actually built me a bot. It's absolutely phenomenal. That guy is an absolute genius. He went at it, I think, 4 times, and we run it. He said, no, it's not going to work. Scrapped it because it was like very grandiose of what he tried to develop. So he built me this wonderful bot. It took a few months to get it right, but that guy is absolutely phenomenal. I love that guy. Guys, we'll be back here next Tuesday, Main Image Monthly. So ProductOpinion guys, Sim will be back here as well. Who else will be on? John will be back, and I'm missing someone. So I forgot who else is, because there's so many of us. So we've got John from PickFu, we've got the ProductOpinion guys. Who's the other? Oh, Dorian as well. So Dorian back as well. We've got a new ASIN that we've broken down. We've all come with our data from our different technologies, and then we'll look how we would update this image. And then Sim, who's an 8-figure seller, will do a teardown on that, and we'll walk you through all of that. And then on Thursday, me and Warner will be back for part 2 of the A9 stuff and the patent that we been covering, which is the cold reality of the honeymoon period and external traffic. And we'll be talking a lot more on the external traffic side next week. If you missed the show from the other day, make sure that you check that out as well. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you back here next week.